I have a question. Why or what, like, what do you think has shaped you into this person that has become, very empathetic towards, people and situations in life? Do you think you were shaped from your parents, your childhood experiences? Like, what do you think that was?
It's a really good question. That's something I haven't thought a lot about. So I need to think a lot about it, I think. Um, I'm trying to think more. That's a theme of 2019 for me. Think more, spend more time with myself and think. Um, it's a really good question. So I think the empathy part of me, I think that it came from, I think partly from my family, but partly just from me being me and observing. I'm quite an observant person. And I think a lot of what I do now, I think was learned behavior on what not to do. Because I am I am an observant person. I've been an observant person my whole life. I was a very observant kid. Um, when you're shy and introverted, you have a lot of time to be observant because you're always kind of detached from the situation. You're never really the center of attention. I didn't want to be the center of attention. That's why I think it's funny that I was as successful as I was and am in competing, because it's like you were the most center of attention person out there. But I think it's just from being observant and watching other people's behavior and how other people are treating other people. And so it's seeing what you don't want to do, and I think I saw a lot of people dismissing other people and not giving them the time they needed or to be empathetic to their situation. And I felt this throughout my life at different times. And it's kind of that, if you've ever felt something so kind of deeply like that, it kind of like you feel it in your bones almost, like when it's so cold, it's like, oh, I can feel it in my bones. It's like so cold, like you can truly feel it. And growing up, I think some coaches that I had weren't very empathetic. And I saw that, and the way sometimes it would make me feel. And so I think that's kind of what shaped that part of me. Was I felt there was these moments that I felt like that wasn't being given to me. Like there wasn't any empathy on in my coach's personality. Like he wasn't, like they weren't empathetic. They didn't, I don't give a shit, And it's like, to a degree though, you kind of should. Like I'm kind of young, I know you think you're talking to you maybe want to be a professional coach, but you're not. So it's like you think you're talking to a grown man, but I'm like 12. So chill, you know? I'm kind of still developing here. I'm trying to figure out who I am as a person. And so I think I had coaches growing up that weren't very empathetic, or I was around people that weren't very empathetic. And I saw that the way that they made other people feel, and the way they made me feel a lot of times. And so I think that character trait came from that, just kind of like being observant and allowing myself to kind of think about things like that, and be like, I kind of goes back to that bare essential. It's like, well, I don't want to make other people feel like that. So if that means that I need to be empathetic or listen to people or just give them the time to say what they want to say, then okay, then that means I got to do that. And so I became a really good listener and just allow people to tell me. And okay, I hear you, and I think that's, yeah, the coach, I never really felt heard sometimes, when you're growing up and you have a coach that's overwhelmed, he's dealing with a bunch of kids, and kids can mean high schoolers. So he's dealing with he's overwhelmed. He's got hundreds, I went to a big high school. So, there's 100 of us on the team, that's not a big enough coaching staff for that. So they don't have time, nor I think sometimes these guys don't have looking back at it, they don't have the maturity to deal with that many kids that are seeking this true identity. They don't know who they are yet. And then you stick guys that are, again, only 5 years older than, sometimes 5 years older than the high schoolers, that haven't gone through much maturing of their own, but yet they need a job or they want to be a coach. So they get into it, and then they don't, then they yell at you and they don't know how to handle you as a child or a young man or whatever you want to label yourself as. And so there's a lot of dismissal, and there's a lot of not listening, and there's a lot of yelling, and there's a lot of all of these things. And I experienced that a lot. And so I think that's a big part of it. It was just like, I don't want to make other people feel like I felt in those moments. So